Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to On the Mic with the M.
Auntie.
Hey, today I'm just going to go ahead and start it off like this. Are single black females destroying the black community?
Mm, mm, mm.
Based on what
That's-
I'm hearing from different news sources and different clowns I hear and different other
I like
things
how
I
you
hear.
mentioned clowns.
Yes, and I say
Mhm.
that because again, I say this because the world and everybody's saying that single black females are systematically destroying the black community and weakening the black males in which they are raising,
Hmm.
making them sissified,
That's
as
what
a
we.
lot of them
That's what.
say.
That's what the black woman is doing.
Yeah, making them
Okay.
eunuchs, almost like we don't want you strong. We just want you to be passive, and we want you to listen what we're saying. We don't want you to have a
Their
processes of your
sons.
own. Yes, they
And
want
what did
their
the fathers
sons.
say when as the mothers are raising them?
Oh, well, we ain't talking about the fathers.
Oh,
We're talking about the single
oh,
black mamas
oh.
who are raising these young men to be almost like little girls. So that's the reason we got all these problems. That's what they're saying. They're saying that y'all, oh, not
They cutting
you,
us down.
but yeah,
But us as a whole, because I'm part of the group as a whole.
but no,
Yeah.
no, 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 you're different because you married. So
Uh-huh.
you're separate. They're not you. It's
Mm.
women that you know who ain't got no man, got a
So a
gang of
single
kids.
woman
A
whose man
single,
has left or is not in the picture for whatever reason, she is now the problem.
based on what I'm hearing, and it's all
Okay.
over the news, girl. They're just saying you no stability, um, no no stability, no discipline, just letting them was run wild, and then whenever they try to buck, you beat them down. So that's why we got the problems we got. And that's what some clown, I'm going to say clown, I'm not going to mention this fool's name on this
Mm-hmm.
podcast, but this clown said, and I quote, that those five officers, let me just say first, they're officers. They happen to be black, but they're police officers who beat this guy up, beat this poor black kid up and killed him, and saying that they're basically their weak ass single mamas built them up for this situation, and that's why they couldn't help
Ooh.
themselves.
Oh,
They
that
built them
hurt.
up for that. They built
Oh,
them up
that
for it.
hurt.
So for them now, it's like, hey, they're used to this. So that's their way of putting out their manhood, of showing that they're men by beating this poor kid, pulling him out the car, and beating his ass and killing him ultimately. So that's what
Mm.
they're saying out here, T. So since you're
Oh,
speaking
but you
for
don't want to
them,
mention who this man was? You don't want to describe him?
I'm just gonna
I'm
say
just curious.
this
Can
this.
we
Okay, Jason Whitlock, that fat motherfucker who all every time I turn around and look, he always talking shit about how the black community is in decay and blaming single black women for everything and blaming other people for everything. But he always does this fuck shit sitting on Fox News or those right wing uh organizations. He never
mm,
come over and have a real conversation with real people like us. He's going to have that conversation where those people agree and nod all the time. He says that because they always want to push the blame on someone, and they want a clown like this one to push that narrative that black women are the cause of all the ills and the evils in the black community.
clutch my pearls. Now ain't that something? Now ain't that something? Been the women that's been doing what's been needing to be done, regardless of anything under the sun, are now being shamed. That's what you're saying.
Yes,
So
yes,
by
and it's
any
happening
means
all the time.
necessary, as long as my kid wasn't out in the street, and I'm not saying that parenting as a single parent, you're gonna get everything right. Because even
Hmm.
when you parent within a household where there's two people there, you still don't get everything right. But
Absolutely.
absolutely, there's a higher chances of you getting things done a little bit less on par, But when the black male did not show up either to help guide the situation, or better yet, help to lead the situation, in which that's his order in the situation, how you fault the person who never fled the situation? I did the
Oh,
best that I could have done. I did not leave. I did not flee. I did not give my child away. I did not turn this kid to the streets. No, no. I did my job as a mother. And it's a balancing act when raising children. And if there was nobody there to help balance the situation, then yes, you might have an unbalanced product at the end of it all. But that you can't blame the person or the parent who decided to stay and do the best that they could do, because I can't raise my child, my son, as efficiently as a male would. Meaning, when I go to discipline my son, I'm more exhausted after making him do what I've asked him to do versus his father. See, I'm going to ask him to do it once. I'm going to ask him to do it twice. Then I got to get upset. Then my voice and tone got to do something different. I have to do more in order to make the teenage boy move more, right? Whereas if it's his father, whether his father is present in the house, whether you picking up the phone, because remember a few podcasts ago, we had the scenarios where I shared with you all how my mother would pick up the phone and just call my dad on me. So it doesn't really matter. When dads get involved, when it's time for them to discipline and tell a boy, teenager, how to move and what to do, he does it with less energy expended. That young boy respects that male a lot more the first time around than he does a woman, i.e. his mother. So now you have the woman who's just exhausted, working hard, disciplining her kids. God forbid it's a teenage son inside the house. It's hard. It's hard. But the very idea that you did it and you stepped up to the plate, and hopefully you did not block anyone from helping balance out that situation. But
uh-oh.
either way, you slice that pie, sir. It's a balancing act. And if somebody is not missing, if somebody is missing, and then the opposite parties want to point the finger, that sounds dumb. It's the leadership who's pointing the finger at the help and saying, the help, you messed up and you made it wrong and you made it bad. The leadership, the person at the top, the head, you know what I'm saying? The head is saying, oh, the help got it wrong. Well, yeah, because the lead left. Yeah, I got it a little bit wrong because the lead left.
Now I'm going to be devil's advocate, and there could be some people that's going to see this and going to say, "I hear T everything you said, and I agree with it 110%." But if those women ran those men away from their kids' lives, what are the guys supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? If we want to be a part of it, and the woman just said, "You know what? Get the hell out of here," and I'll deal with them because one, you had the baby and it didn't quite work out the way you thought it was going to work out. So now you're all in your feelings. So now you're like, you know what? He didn't make me whole. He didn't make me right. So what I'm gonna do, you know what? I don't want to see him because every time I see him, it reminds me of broken dreams,
Yeah.
of possibilities that will never happen. So
Yeah.
I don't want his goofy ass around me now since we got a baby. Let him carry his bitch ass somewhere else, and I'll raise the baby, and I'll do the best I can, and the damn to hell with him. So what do you say about people that said women push these men away?
So I did mention that very briefly and said hopefully none of the men had been blocked in parenting and helping balance out that situation. And if they have been blocked, there is a whole system for you to still go through to make sure that your rights are not just kind of shunned. The problem is that when you exercise rights, you then have to show up with the proper responsibilities. And some men don't want to be held accountable to the responsibilities, that a child really will require. And when I'm speaking of responsibilities, I'm speaking of child support. So if a woman has shunned you and said, you know what, you've broken my heart, you've disrespected me, I don't need nothing from you, I'm so hurt, I'm so torn, you're supposed to be my forever guy, you out here with other women, you out here deceiving me, the hell with you, I can be bad all by myself. She on her ish, right? Respectfully speaking, right? But you still can go to the courts and say, hold on, I'm gonna do a proper situation, file for proper paternity, file for proper visitations, but you're also going to have to file and put your funds in to have a child support order. Also, I'm assuming. And some men are just like, and as opposed to doing that, doing the proper route, I'm gonna just choose to not, be involved and pretend like it's her fault because she was being, attitudious, all in her feelings. And again, it goes back to you allowing the help to lead a situation. That's still inappropriate. No matter how I rationalize the situation, it still just doesn't make sense to where the lead said, let me sit back on this situation. You're the lead. You can't sit back on the situation. No matter how much I want to flex on my man, right? He'll never let me flex the way I'm the lead. And no matter how much I tell my man, oh, your kids, not your kids, you're not taking, give me my damn kids, girl. What you talking about? Like, how can I overpower this man? What I'm going to do when he say, nah, I'm coming to pick up my kids. Don't come in here and get your kids with the kids. It's not going to go. Like, what type of relationship have you created and fostered? Again, you're the lead here. So I just don't understand. And shit does happen, right? So let's say that the scenario actually did play out and you said, you know what, I'm a coward in this situation. I don't really want to be bothered because it's super toxic. She keeping negative energy around the kid. She keeping negative energy around me. I don't want none of that shit because I might snap type of thing. Okay, you let the situation play out over 18 years. Kid grows up, whatever type of way that she created, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's super great. Sometimes it's just not that great at all.
Absolutely.
You can't go back and be like, oh, you the worst. Like, which one is it? Because there's so many success stories also, because there's so many like situations like this. So we can't say that it's just all bad that comes out of these situations. That's bizarre.
Yes.
If the percentage of America is just not married, right? Then what type of household has been created for the children? Most people are just not like, are they married and in marriages that are just like surviving and thriving?
So no.
I just don't think so.
No. And it's such an easy scapegoat to say,
it's
and
it's just out.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that's why I started off with, are single black women causing this problem? Fuck no. Let's be honest. No, I'm just gonna say, fucking accountability. It goes back to everybody being accountable. I don't give a shit whether you're black, white, Chinese, Jewish, whatever the hell nationality or origin you are. It goes back to responsibility and accountability. So to say that these 5 stupid motherfuckers was raised by a single black mama caused them to beat this poor man to death for no reason at all is some stupid ass shit. It's some really some shit that you're just trying to push a narrative, which is false. It's a false fucking narrative because, like you just said, there's a lot of successful black men out here that are doing very well. And we know right off the top of my head, LeBron James. LeBron James was raised by a single black female. And this young man turned out to be, which of all places, he was in Akron, Ohio, which he could have very easily fell into that same drug scene, gangster scene, that shit that put most of us in prison or or either prison or the graveyard, one of the two. But he surpassed all that. And he's a billionaire with a single black female.
I mean, the list is long. Let's keep it real.
Huge.
Let's just keep it real.
Fucking long.
It's so, just, when you just want to talk, just to talk, that's what you say out loud.
Exactly. And so it actually is going back to, I have to, and I'm going to say this, I commend, I'm speaking right to you single black females. I love you and I commend you on the ones that's doing the work. You're busting your ass. You're trying to make a penny work and stretch for 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever number of kids you got, and you're making it happen, and you're doing it with no help or little help, I commend you. And I'm saying that you need all the help you can get, whether it's from the male, the society, we all, because again, if we as a society do not help these women to raise these boys or girls, and particularly in this case, males, we are setting them up for failure. To say we're not going to help them do what they need to do as a society is setting our society up for failure. And we always, I'm going to go back a little bit. We always in America look at the effect of things. We never look at the cause. We look at, oh, you know what? Let's build more prisons. Let's just go ahead and put more prisons out there because people committing more crime. I haven't seen a fucking kid yet, or a human being that was a baby, and you picked them up and said, "Oh, what you want to be for a living? I want to be a criminal. I want to be a drug dealer. I want to be a pimp. I want to be, all that." They don't. All kids start off the same, and only when opportunities and people who are responsible for these kids and their opportunities fail or don't get help to do it, now things start to deviate a little bit because we have to look at it. You have to be, this is a capitalist society, excuse me, and money drives everything. Everything. So if this kid, you're not preparing this kid to go out here and really, really be able to take care of himself and be able to find a job so he can take care of himself and down the road a family, you're setting this shit up for failure. Because if you put somebody in a situation where they have to thrive and survive in the most worst fucking situations known to man, you're gonna do what you gotta do to get paid. Well, that means knock somebody in the head. That means sell drugs. That means do some shit that you wouldn't normally do because you have to survive.
Like you say, you become a product of your environment.
Exactly. And I'm tired of all these fuck motherfuckers I hear want to push the blame on people who are doing the best they can. Because there are a lot of women out here and men, but particularly women, who are doing the best they can and doing what they can do. But when they're in a situation, they're just doing the best they can. But you can't beat them down and say, well, you know what, you didn't do a better job. You should have done a better job. Well, how the fuck am I do a better job if I, a single woman, is raising this baby by myself with no help from the father, even though I got support orders. I got, court orders to pay me. And I can't, and I may be getting 10, 11, 15, $20 a week because also, as you know, T, is based on what that guy makes.
Right.
And they can account for it. So if you got a dude or a boy that you had a fucking baby by who's now ducking work and not trying to get him up on child support, then he'll never have a legitimate job because he's going to be scared about, oh shit, if I get this good job, they're going to take some of my money. Well, yeah, motherfucker, you should take some of your money because you got a kid out there that needs to eat every day, got to have clothes on his back, a roof over his head, and all that shit. Because then if you don't do that, now we got to deal with your kid that you don't want to take care of because he's about to knock somebody in the goddamn head or rob some old lady.
Pretty much, right?
Yes. So I don't get it. I don't fucking get where all these people who want to always throw people on the bus, but never want to say, what can we do to make this better? What can we do to alleviate the situation? Because this shit getting worse and worse. It's not getting better.
Right.
I could pull out statistics left and right how statistically it's not good for single mothers or single fathers, more single mothers than single fathers, which is odd, but single mothers raising kids is always a kind of a real bad outcome for these kids. Everything is always bad. They're usually, not committed, not staying in school. They're always in issues when it comes to discipline issues. It's just a litany of things.
Yeah, because again, it's how much energy I have to expend to get the child to, do what needs to be done. If a man's voice can make a teenage girl halt in her steps, I mean,
yes,
just like say her name, like too strong, right? Say your daughter name too strong. Let her be 16, 17, smelling herself, right?
Oh
Say
Lord,
her name.
yes.
So I
Oh,
think she walking away from you, think she grown. You don't have to snatch her up. You don't got to put hands on her. You don't got to make a phone call. All you got to do is say that girl name. And the power from your voice alone as a man is going to startle her and make her freeze right in her step. You know what I'm saying? As a woman, if I say her name, she's still moving. I'm like, put a shoot your head.
that is so true, though.
Yeah, and so the very idea that that's just what that has to constantly be done after you went to work and you're tired from work and you came home and you cooked the food for the family, and then you checked on the kids' schoolwork. Well, no matter what grade they're in at this point in life, you have to check on the kids' schoolwork. Bizarre concept. 11th grader. Now let me check on his grades. Because everything is accessible, right? So the amount of work that you're doing, I mean, you're exhausted. And so like discipline, oh no, it's going to be much harder for a woman by herself who don't have nobody to back her up in the house to discipline, any teenager, let alone a teenage boy.
That is very true. That is a very true statement. And kind of like that goes back to, like we said in the beginning, these men need to step up.
Well, more than they need to step up, I think that we do need to kind of check our emotions and allow the men to be held accountable. And I don't know for certain, but is visitation order like dependent on the child support order? Normally they do come hand in hand, but I think that once you try to get a visitation order together, I think that's gonna then trigger a child support order. But whatever it is, we have to figure out some type of agreement to where the male can be held accountable and have a solid functioning relationship that is healthy for all the parties there, for the child to thrive. Like specifically the child to thrive, but everybody in that relationship should be thriving. We really have to stop blocking the men from parenting, even if we can do it all on our own. It's not ours to own on our own. See, we didn't make the kids on our own for a reason, because we're not supposed to be able to raise them on our own. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any logical sense, or just in general, it doesn't make any sense. So it takes two to tangle. It's going to take two to raise this baby.
Absolutely.
Now here's a question I have for you. What do you feel about when I hear guys say, "Man, I don't want to be no child support. I can just go ahead and give her some money here and there. I don't know why she got to take me down to the man and get me on child support." So what do you feel about guys that say, "I shouldn't even have to be on child support. I should just be able to pay her out of my pocket"?
If you were actually doing that responsibly and consistently without any bullshit in between, then most women are very logical, right? And if you was giving her something that was a sensible amount and you were consistent and it did not have any strings attached, then you probably would not have found yourself in child support court. The problem is that the men are lying. Their money had strings attached to it, and it was probably not consistent. And that's what got them in child support court. And that's a fair game, because the children's appetite is very consistent. The roof over their head needs to be paid very consistently, and BGE is going to come knock on your door and collect their money very consistently. And there's no strings attached to that, other than they're going to send you a service and they want their money when it's all said and done. So the strings attached and the inconsistency, you have to create a situation where we take those things out of it so that we can protect the child and, and self. Because if we create a situation where we're one's giving and the other person's receiving funds, right? And let's say you feel like you're giving me too much. Well, I don't feel like you're giving me too much, but you feel like you're giving me too much. So who is then to say how much is to then be given? Do you just give me how much you want to give me this month or that month? Like, who's calling the proper amount here? And then how do you ever create stability out of something that you're questioning over and over? Is this, I feel like I'm giving her too much. I shouldn't be giving her all this money. Huh? Okay, to take your ass to court and let somebody who is a neutral party tell you exactly how much money you should be, helping to support your child with, and then be okay with that. And sometimes the amount can be more than, and sometimes it can be less than, but at least you have a neutral party who hopefully has heard both of your financial makeups and taken both into accountability when deciding on how much money the order should be for. And there's always more alternatives to the traditional monthly child support orders. There is a joint custody. I don't think where nobody pays anybody. You take your kid a few days a week. I take the kid, a few days a week, and nobody exchanges anything. We both provide the same amount of housing for the child, and we both provide food for half the week, and you provide food for the other half of the week, and you do homework half of the week, and I do homework the other half of the week, and whatever, soccer practice, basketball practice, football practice is on my days, and I take them, and, vice versa. And there is no exchange in money. The only problem with that is most men have jobs where they, really can't get the kids on and off the bus in the morning and afternoon, or perhaps they don't, really feel like jumping into a nurturing role for 3 days throughout the week, because you technically would be dealing with the kids like that. But there's several different scenarios. She take the kids for the first 8-10 years. You take the kid for other 8-10 years, and there's no child support exchange. I've seen that scenario play out. But you do have to be mature and have a conversation and allow that conversation to result in a proper functioning relationship where no parent is abandoned, right?
Yes. And you made a very good point. And it all goes back to having an adult conversation about adult situation. We're not talking about the dog. We're not talking about cars. We're not talking about furniture. We're talking about a young, impressionable child and innocent.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that what you do or don't do ultimately affects that baby.
Yes.
And I think everybody really forgets that, because you get into this whole back and forth about the money and what you should get, what you shouldn't get, and what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. You forget about the kids.
Yeah, because you're living a life to serve yourself, and that's not what you're supposed to be serving anymore. You're supposed to, now it's a selfless time. You have to live to serve your child, and if that's not what you're doing, then you're out of order.
Yes, T, you are out of order, and that's why I ultimately want to come around to is you're not in order. These kids are suffering because of fucking piss poor ass parenting, which we said so many podcasts ago.
It's piss poor communication. Your emotions is just all over the place. A lot of the stuff that we see today is just poor emotion handling. Like, we don't know how to handle and contain and control, our feelings and emotions. And it's getting sadder and sadder, as we go through. Like, so the man, sometimes he can't control his emotions, and so you see his aggressive side. And then you see the woman who can't control her emotions, and so, she kicks the man out of her life. And, we see the product of both of them. And it's like, we got to get to the point where you as a man have to control yourself and your aggression. And then you as a woman, what we said before, you got to control your attitude.
Yes. It's all about controlling, and it's all about growing up and adulting. Because true adulting, not just
True
talking
adulting.
about it, but really saying, I have a responsibility. I am responsible for a human life. Not a dog, because a dog, you get tired or somehow the money run out, you can always take them to SPCA and they'll take care of them or drop them off somewhere. But
people have more respect, the sad part, for their dog than the person that they lay down and had a kid with.
Oh,
real talk.
Oh,
Real talk. You be willing to do special things, give nice treats to your damn dog before you send over, a bouquet of flowers to your baby mother from your kid, or before you go out and buy a tie or some, fancy socks for your baby father, from your kid. Like, but you'll make sure that your dog got some little blinged out collar around their damn neck, right? Like, what? So you will take better care of a dog than you would. We're teaching our children how to take care of the opposite sex, right? So you teach your daughter how to take care of men by, taking care of her father, right? So they realize that the gifts that mom receives are not the gifts that a man wants to receive.
Yes, that is
Even
true.
something as basic as like, Valentine's Day gifts. Dad might take baby girl to the store and, Samara, let's go buy your mother, bouquet of roses, you let you pick out the card type of thing, and it's real cute and stuff. But mom's not doing that. She's like, girl, let's go out and find your father a bathrobe. Like, he's not going out and buying this man a bouquet of red roses. Like,
no.
Some men might like flowers in the house, but man, we not buying you no flower. I'm not coming home after work with a bouquet of flowers for you. I'm not going to teach my children that, and they're not going to miss that piece of it. You know what I'm saying? So we teach our children, and that's a time to teach, and it's the appropriate time to teach, and this the appropriate person to pour into, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying to expend, lavishing gifts on the person that you don't have a relationship with. No, that's not the right order. But small gifts that you find that that are appropriate and that can be gifted from a child to a parent, and the types of gifts those are. Like, let's keep it all the way 100, right?
Exactly.
You're not gifting a Louis Vuitton belt to your baby daddy. He's talking about some that's from your son. No, you get a tie.
Exactly.
And that's nice. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
We're teaching. We're teaching in everything that we do, and we can either teach them poorly or we can teach them things that make them great and make us great also, right?
There you go.
It makes us great also.
There you go. Because ultimately, what people fail to realize, because they get so wrapped up in the day-to-day tussle and shit of life, these babies grow up. And if you live long enough, those same babies that you invested in and took care of, and you get older, and we all get, if we're all blessed enough to become older, we're going to need some help.
Yep.
And you don't want a kid that you done fucked up or you done did some shit to, or the mom and dad never really took care of you, and you damaged that poor young soul who now grows up and don't have that same opinion of you. And they're living their life because you lived your life. And then you expect them to come back to you if you need them and say, oh, I raised you. Can you take care of me? And those kids start telling you some shit that you don't want them to tell you. Like, well, why I gotta be the one to raise you? What you did to me. And they start bringing up all that shit. And in your head, like, that I didn't think that happened. Yeah, it happened. You just you didn't think that kid was watching. Kids see everything. They may not tell you, but kids see everything, how you treat them, how they feel disrespected, how they feel unwanted, how they have a certain feeling about, and they're basing it off of what you do to them. They're not basing it off what you tell
provided. Them. Yeah.
Exactly. So you have to understand, down the road, they will come back and let you know exactly how good or how bad of a parent you are.
Now they just might come back and let you know. And that's if you're lucky. Because a lot of them will just get up and go and they won't come back.
Yes.
They just move to another state. They have a whole beautiful family, and guess who's not filling up your house? Not during your birthday, not during Mother's Day. They're not coming to your house, Pops, or Father's Day. Your homeboys looking at you like, man, I thought you had 3 girls back in the day. No, I do have 3 girls, and they all grown, and I ain't got no damn relationship with them. So you pretend like Father's Day is not a holiday, or you pretend like Mother's Day don't really exist, because your children won't come back home. During the holidays, Christmas, your house is empty because you did not properly pour into the people who they're coming back to pour into you. And whether you need to lean on them for whatever reason as you get older, they still feed you. right? They come
Yes.
through, they feed you with conversation. You know, girls come back home to their mom's house, we drink wine, have some hors d'oeuvres. You know, we just hang out, enjoy a different perspective of life. You know, go back, hang out with my pops, and we just, we just kick it. He on the grill, I'm eating his good food, and you know, 2 years later, you're gonna bring some kids back into the house, fill it up even more, and you know, that's life. As you filling up this house, it might have started off as a family of 5, you know, a mom, dad,
Yes.
and 2 and 3 kids. You know, by the time it's all said and done, it's probably about a family of 15 to 20 of us. And that's what's going to come back in and feed your household.
Yes. What you
Mm-hmm.
just said is beautiful, because that's the way, that's the proper order. That's the
Mm-hmm.
natural order of things. And when you say that and it flows so beautifully, that's the way it should go. It shouldn't be forced. It shouldn't be like, well, should men lead? It's a given men should lead.
Yeah, no, it's a
It should
given.
women take care and nurture the kids? It's a given women should
Mm-hmm.
nurture and take care of the kids. But it's not natural and it's not normal for women to lead the household from A to Z.
That's
It's not fair
absolutely.
that the women are the burdens, all the burdens put on
Mm-hmm.
her to take care of the baby. It's
Mm-hmm.
not her burden. It's
Yep.
not cool for you to allow her to do all this work and you do nothing.
Yep.
And then you want to disrespect her for the shit you think she's not doing. But you don't know because you're not in her house. But
Yep.
you just basing on, oh, she getting money from me and she should be doing this. Nah,
Yep.
motherfucker, you should be taking care of your little one. It's part
Yep.
of you.
Yep.
So to discount him or her is discounting your ass.
Yep.
And that's the problem.
And then, it goes back to sometimes we just don't ever quite grow up. The man who's had the children with the, mom or two, when will he settle down with like that one woman so that he can then invite his other children into a household where they can feel stability, grow, and thrive there? What happens when shit hits the fan at mom's house? Because I hate to say, but this bitch is getting on my nerves. You know what I'm saying? How you feel about your mother sometimes when you a teenager? You just want to speak. You know what I'm saying? Like, where do you
Yes.
go? Where do you real? Nah, I'm going to dad's house. But if you don't
Yep.
have that relationship, right? Like even just
Absolutely.
for the weekend, ours used to be because our parents is in the same damn house. But you need an outlet. We used to go to our uncle's house. Like, no, getting
Yep.
out of here because this is getting on
Yep.
my damn nerves. Straight up. Straight up.
It's
We
true.
forget that we provide relief from each other, but absolutely, even inside of a household where both the parents are there, mom's getting on your nerves. I'm telling dad.
Yes.
I'm telling mom,
Yes.
feel like she's getting a little bit beside herself, talking to me all out her neck. What's wrong with you, man? You talking to me? No, let's have to talk to my father later on because somebody need to talk to her. Somebody on her level need to level her back out. And it clearly can't be me. And real
No.
talk, that those conversations that you have with, no, that's your parents' counterpart, right?
Yep.
Dad, I feel like mom is, coming at me extra hard, or, mom, I feel like dad's been, on my back just a little harder. Either the other parent's going to say, look, it's time for you to get a little more serious about what's going on and talk to you about why that person's sitting on your back and kind of smooth over the situation. Or they will real live go and talk to the other parent about, hey, what's going on? Oh, is everything good? And you can be offended or not offended, but you got to have the child's back.
Yes.
And
You
that's what it
have
all
to.
boils down to. But they have to
Yes.
know that they have someone other than that primary person to go to, because that
Absolutely.
primary person going to get on your nerves
Yes.
straight
Yes.
up.
They're going to. They,
I
they
can just
have
see
to,
it in
because you
my
see them
son's
all the
face.
time.
He be like, what you need, mom? But and just a long awkward pause. I'd be like, I'm getting on his nerves. I'm getting on his nerves now. Yeah, it's all good though, son. I'm gonna walk away. But we have to understand that we get on each other's nerves, and we all need relief.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you've blocked your child's relief, what are you doing?
What are you doing? And think about it, what you just said. If that child doesn't have anyone else to go to, so now they're talking to their friends. And if their friends are on the same boat that they are, it's
Mm-hmm.
the blind leading the blind because you're both
Mm-hmm.
gonna say, man, my mama said this, man, my mama said the same shit. And so
Mm-hmm.
now they're bitching, but they have no relief. They don't know what to do because they don't have no outlet. So you have a whole bunch of young men that are in the same similar situations talking to each other like, man, my mama did this, my mama. Then none of them got nobody to talk to. It's
Yep.
like nobody. So what do they do with that energy? So now that energy has to be converted to something. And it's not going to be converted to positive energy. It's going to be converted to negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how that starts. And then you start going down the road. And then you're like, hey, I go to what I know best, my negative energy. So whatever that is I start drinking. I start smoking, start using weed or using drugs or whatever as a coping mechanism. Because
Mm-hmm.
you can't go off and slap the shit out your mama. That's what you're not going to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to have to eat that. So
Mm-hmm.
in order to eat that and not go the hell off, you're going to do something to take the edge off. You're going to do something to get out that situation so you can have a peace of mind for yourself, which is not the best, but it's a coping mechanism.
Yep.
So we have to, not we, all people need to figure out we need to do what's best for this child. We need to always make sure that the child has an outlet. Stop putting yourself in the situation or putting yourself above the child because it's your responsibility to raise this child
Mm-hmm.
and to make sure you give this child different situations and different ways of expressing themselves and really and talking to you because that's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of kids I knew, a lot of guys who had single mamas, they couldn't talk back to their mama. They couldn't say nothing back. If she said something, it was a law. You couldn't respond back to, so they had no say.
Yeah, yeah, because I had to tighten my house up so tight. I can't have no loose strings because I don't have anybody else in to help me tighten it up if it gets loose. Because if it gets too loose, I can't handle it.
Yeah,
So it has to some women realize that in order to raise a male in this house, it has to be very strict, especially in
yeah,
order for her to have peace.
exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
you're right. You're absolutely right about that. And you're in a certain situation when you live in a certain area that may not be the best area because, again, we're
Yep.
going to deal with economics.
Yep.
If you're a single mom, and I don't know your educational background or anything like that, but unless you really, you got a degree and doing something that's making a lot of money, you're struggling for the
Mm-hmm.
most part. So that means you're gonna live wherever you can live, which may not be the best place, but then you got to compete with the other elements within that environment.
Yep.
And you're right. I gotta protect my kid from the streets. I gotta protect my kid from all the other things. And that
Mm-hmm.
may come across as the kid being soft, the kid being, being at home and not really getting out in them streets. But we know what happens when you get out in them streets. Those streets never change. The
Mm-hmm.
bodies come and the bodies go. But the stories end the same. If you're in them streets, you're either going to end up in jail or dead. And
Yep.
nobody wants their baby to be in jail or dead. But we see today a lot of those babies are ending up dead or in jail. So we definitely got to do something to change this because it's just going to get worse. Because all I keep hearing is the states and the counties are building more prisons. I don't hear those motherfuckers say they're going to build more rec centers for kids.
Mm-mm.
I don't hear they say they're going to do aftercare for kids. The money they're going to spend for fucking house for jail, they're going to not do that for the kids to make sure they have something to do after school when their mamas are maybe still at work and they
Mm-hmm.
become
I
latchkey
don't
kids.
think it
I don't hear that.
even at this point, I don't even think it matters where people's parents are at. It's just a bizarre concept that there are no after school programs that like they're supposed to be. Like it's just not serving the community on any level. There's no sports inside the schools and it's just so few after school situations going on that your child, in order for your kid to be thriving, you got to be spending money. And it's
Yes.
not a little bit of it. It's a nice, you got to be able to part with a nice coin. And so the very
Yes.
idea that you hooked up and, you commingled, got entangled with a man who decided to evade, paying you and child support,
Hmm.
it's made it very, very hard for you to do what needs to be done and create a situation where your child can thrive in the after school settings.
And that's so crazy. I don't even know why, but and I always say everything is by design. Nothing just don't happen. I mean, you don't all of a sudden just take aftercare out, and you don't all of a sudden make it so unaffordable that parents can't pay for it. So now
Mm-hmm.
they have to kind of say, oh, they have to wing it, and the kid has to go home, and if the
Mm-hmm.
kid, is home and looking at computers, because the other thing is this: if they're home, you're gonna be playing games, looking at computers, and as
Yep.
we both know. Computers, you cannot have the goddamn internet raise your goddamn kids because that's what's going to
No.
happen.
Uh-uh.
And
You
that's why
get
we got the shit we got right now.
That's it. You get
Uh,
kids who end up learning how to hack the software, so to speak.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah, I've
yes.
seen it. I've seen it with my children. I've seen it with other people's kids. I mean, I've seen it. The kids, the computers, because you can just pop up another tab right behind it. You're either searching for the answers, watching YouTube when you're supposed to be doing like a timed reading, right? So they figured
Hmm.
if we just time, right, and you're supposed to do like a read along, helping you with like assisted reading, and it's time,
Hmm.
so you can't just zoom to the end. The kids are
Yes.
timed out. So I'm supposed to take 25 minutes to read this book. Guess what? I'm gonna spend 25 minutes with this book open, and I'm gonna be on YouTube for that same 25 minutes.
That's so true.
They'll
That's
come
so
back,
true.
click on all the answers for all the questions. Half of them be wrong, and they'll write down all the right answers and then go back, retake the test. They're done. Like, so y'all real life have figured out all the hacks. Even I've seen the middle school kids, they'll sit there, what are they all in Discord, the little app, and they'll just be exchanging answers. Hey, did you figure this out? They'll just Google the question and then exchange the answers. So whoever figured out the answer, they just kind of got it
God
all in their
damn.
brain. They just figure out how to figure out the answer. They're not
Wow.
really learning anything. And if you're not like in their face and seeing what's going on and aggressively jumping in there and, filling in those gaps, oh no, your kid is suffering.
And what
Mm-hmm.
you just said, T, is that's the beginning of what happens when you try to get over, and you get over, but it doesn't help you when you get out of school. Because you're out of school, then what? All those
Mm-mm.
damn tests you don't just fake and pass. Then you're like, oh shit, I'm out in the real world.
Yep.
And then you gotta make real world decisions, but you're not prepared for real world decisions. And ultimately, those are the same ones that make the decision to bring a kid into the world
Yep.
because it just happened. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, having fun, I'm kicking it, and boom, you have a kid. You're not prepared to make big money because you don't have no skills.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't even think about, well, what I'm going to do to take care of myself. Not a little McDonald's job or nothing like that. Yeah, that's some shit. That's great when you're home, but if you now got a kid, McDonald's ain't so great no more because now the kid can't eat a Big Mac. You can't feed a baby
Mm-hmm.
a Big Mac.
Mm-hmm.
So that
And
you
and
got to figure
prices
out
went up. Prices for stuff
way
went
up,
up, you know?
way
So
up.
you started at that little McDonald's job, and 3, 4, 5 years later, now you got a kid and you still at that same job, things that went up just a smidge, and now you need your paycheck to stretch, not for one person, but for three now. So
Yes. So
yeah.
these are things nobody think about. But then
Mm-hmm.
you're in a garden situation. Now you got a kid. You got to take care of the kid. You got a
Mm-hmm.
guy who told you anything you wanted to hear. You have a kid, and now you're like, I got to take care of all this. There's a lot on me. If you had just slowed down, if you had just slowed the hell down, and I think for what I'm going to say is single moms out there, understand this fact. It's all going to fall on you. And future single mothers, understand this fact. Whatever you do with a guy, and it so happens to end up in a baby, it will always fall on you. I don't want to hear this shit. No, not me. It can't happen to me. It happened to my auntie. It happened to such and such. It ain't gonna be me. It ain't gonna be me. And what happens, T? It's them.
Yeah. Yeah. What I
So
say, and you thought it was a bizarre concept. I don't want. Don't lay down with people who you don't think is husband material. Like
yes,
it sounds like a bizarre and then perhaps a conservative um mindset, but I'll be damned if I mean, first of all, that responsibility is too massive. It's too massive for you
Yes.
to be playing with any old body with it. And
Yes.
for you to just let any old body access your body. And nah, that's that a life is created. You need to be able to help support that kid with more than
Ye-
just money in my world, because that child
Yes.
needs time and attention, conversation pieces. They need trips to Target after school, the 7-Eleven runs. Nah, you got all that, because I'm not going to be the only one taking your kid to Target, picking up weird random stuff after school. That doesn't make sense to me. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I need stocking at some of these places, because
Yes.
that's the reality of it, is that, people are all crying about child support and all that good stuff. And some mothers to be like, he sends me, X amount of dollars. I spend that after school at 7-Eleven. Like, your kids want to slurp me into chips. Like, come on. Come on. And it's part of the experience. It's part of the journey, with your children. And you're okay with that. But it does come with a price tag, and it does come with more than just the money. It comes with that time, and it comes with the energy that is expended. And it's for both parties to show up and expend their time, expend their energy. It's not for just one person. It wasn't built like that for a reason.
God damn, T. You know what? I can't say it no more. You put it all into a ball, and put a little bow on top of it. So I can't say nothing else. Ladies, just do better. Do better and have that conversation, that real conversation with your baby fathers. Just have that conversation. If you need help, get help. And if he ain't help you, take him to court. Because that baby ultimately is going to need that assistance. It's going to need both of you involved. And so guys out there, you boys, grow up, be men, and be a part of these kids' lives. Because to deny them is denying their chance of success, their chance of being happy in this goddamn thing called life. Life is hard in general, but you're making it harder for them.
There's no one who's going to see a man's greatness more than his own kids.
Hello.
Just a little gem out there.
Hello. And you know what? And with that, goddamn it, I'm going to end this particular podcast. And this is an important important conversation we had, and we're going to revisit this again this month at some other discussions. But we just want everybody to do better, because our future, those kids are our future. If you don't take care of them, your future is fucked. I'm saying this again. If you don't take care of your kids, our future and your future is fucked. So with that, I'm going to end this episode of On the Mic with the M
and C.
Ladies and gentlemen, you know what you got to do. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll bring you more gems. So until next week, peace and love.